Consider the boy, 13 years old, stepping onto a dirt path that was about to become an altar. No armor, no plan for retreat, only the weight of a borrowed sword and a lifetime yet unlived. His opponent was a man, a proven warrior. The duel ended as it began. Whiffed. Absolute. A single, decisive cut. That boy was Miyamoto Musashi, and over the next 3 decades, he would enter 60 duels to the death. 60 victories. It's not one loss. But here's the secret they never told you. His greatest mastery was not of the sword, but of the mind. He discovered a confidence that could not be shattered, stillness that could not be stirred. And his path was the absolute opposite of everything we are taught today. We are told confidence is built on a foundation of feeling good, positive thinking, affirmations whispered to the mirror. Musashi would have seen this as a beautiful delusion, a castle built on sand. While others tried to convince themselves they were strong, Musashi was in the forge, tempering his spirit in the fires of brutal honesty. Modern science now echoes what this swordsman knew in his bones. Researchers find that those who practice clear-eyed self-assessment perform under pressure with 40% more steadiness than those clinging to empty praise. So what did this Ronin understand that we have forgotten? Let me tell you of his turning point. At 29, he was to face Sasaki Kojiro, the master of the swallow cut, a technique said to slice a bird from the sky. The entire nation held its breath. By any measure, Musashi should have been gripped by fear. Instead, he arrived late, carved a wooden sword from an oar, and faced his destiny with a terrifying calm. But his early writings reveal a different truth. He was intimately familiar with self-doubt, with the gnawing anxiety that visits us all. The difference was not in the feeling, but in the response. Where most seek to eliminate fear, Musashi learned to wield it. The first cut. Know yourself truly. For Musashi, this was not a gentle introspection. It was a surgical strike. He would spend hours dissecting his every flaw, every hesitation, every weakness, not to indulge in self-criticism, but to eliminate the blind spots that death would exploit. When was the last time you stood before the mirror of your own soul and refused to look away? The mind's default is to protect the ego, to filter out the uncomfortable truths. But mastery begins when you override that instinct. You cannot sharpen a blade you are afraid to hold. The second cut. Let fear be your guide. Most people build their confidence on the shifting sands of external success, victory, favorable conditions. When the storm comes, it washes away. Musashi built his on bedrock. He would walk deliberately into the tiger's den, seeking out the very situations that made his heart pound. He understood what modern psychology confirms. The physiological state of fear and of excitement are identical. The racing heart, the heightened senses, is all the same energy. The only difference is the story you tell yourself. Do you see a threat or a test, an enemy or a teacher? Your fear holds the lesson, but only if you are brave enough to sit with it. The third cut. Master the art of losing. Here, Musashi becomes truly revolutionary. He believed true confidence is not born from never failing, but from being unshakable when you do. Even as the undisputed master, he would humiliate himself, publicly picking up unfamiliar weapons, chains, sickles, and allow himself to be clumsy. To fail in front of his own students. Why? To inoculate himself against the poison of pride. To practice defeat so that its sting lost all power. When you are comfortable with falling, you walk with a different gravity. Your decisions cease to be about avoiding failure and begin to be about pursuing growth. The final cut. Contemplate the end to live in the now. Each morning, Musashi practiced death meditation. He would sit with the absolute certainty of his own end. This was not morbidity. It was the ultimate liberation. And you fully accept that nothing external is permanent, not your status. Your possessions, even your own body, you stop drawing your strength from these fragile things. You build it from something that cannot be taken. Researchers who study those who confront mortality find a profound result: a surge of authentic presence and unshakable calm. By accepting the ultimate fear, all others shrink to their true size. This is the source of his magnetic presence. When you have nothing left to protect, your attention becomes total. You're utterly here. This was the man who at 60 accepted a final duel. He arrived not with a sword, but with a wooden paddle carved from an oar. The crowd saw madness. Musashi saw truth. His confidence was no longer tied to a weapon. It resided in a mind that was, by then, immovable. He won with a single strike, a lesson not in swordsmanship but in spirit. So how do you walk this path? Begin with radical honesty. Name your 3 deepest weaknesses. Not with shame, but with clarity. Then design a small challenge to meet one this week. Practice discomfort alchemy. Next time anxiety rises, do not push it away. Lean in, observe it with detached curiosity. What is its texture? Its message? Separate the sensation from the story. Embrace voluntary hardship. A cold shower, difficult conversation, a skill you are terrible at. Seek the controlled burn that forges resilience, and cut away the unnecessary. Your need to be liked, your need to be right, your need to maintain a perfect image. These are attachments that make you fragile. Let them fall away like dead leaves. But there is one more thing, hidden in Musashi's writings. A single line that is the master key, he wrote. In strategy, become your opponent. Most read this as a tactical ploy, but on the deepest level he meant to be unshakable. You must first dissolve the separation between yourself and the challenge before you. The fear, the opponent, the difficult task, do not meet it as an enemy outside yourself. Absorb it. Understand it so completely that there is no longer a you in it. There is only the moment and your action within it. This is the pinnacle. Confidence not as something you have, but as something you are. Musashi's final words were, "I have no regrets." Not because his life was perfect, but because he met every moment, whether of terror or of peace, with the same total acceptance. So the question now rests with you. Will you trade the comfortable weakness of illusion for the uncomfortable strength of truth? Will you stop defending the person you believe you are and begin discovering the person you could become? The path is brutal. The rewards are extraordinary. You already possess everything you need. You must only stop protecting yourself from the very trials that will prove it to you. Train your mind. Master yourself. Walk the dojo path.